Hello, everyone, and welcome to another session of Listener's Paradise Presents I Shot an Arrow into the Air by H.W. Longfellow. In this segment of the presentation, we'll be talking about the important words in this beautiful poem. I'll explain it to you, I'll read it out for you. Like always, I'll talk about the themes, the figures of speech, the literary devices which have been used by the poet, as well as the rhyme scheme. So, this is a very beautiful poem which was composed by Longfellow. And first, we'll begin this journey by me reading out the poem for you. So, let's get started. I shot an arrow into the air. It fell to earth, I knew not where, for so swiftly it flew, the sight could not follow it in its flight. I breathed the song into the air. It fell to earth, I knew not where. For who has sight so keen and strong that it can follow the flight of song? Long, long afterward, in an oak, I found the arrow still unbroke, and the song from beginning to end I found again in the heart of a friend. These are a few of the important words in this poem. These will act as references for you to understand the poem as I explain it to you. So please pause the video at this point and note this down for ease of reference. I'll begin by explaining the first stanza to you. As you have noticed, this poem is composed of 3 stanzas of 4 lines each, and herein the first stanza would be explained to you. And the poem begins by introducing the element of the arrow itself in the first line of the poem, where the poet says, I shot an arrow into the air. So he's using the past verb tense, where he's saying that he shot a an arrow into the air. With it indicates an action that they took in the past. And this line, it immediately sets the scene and establishes the central imagery of the poem, that is the act of shooting an arrow. This follows, here it follows the second line where the poet is talking about that the arrow, it fell to the earth, but the poet does not know where it fell. I knew not where, that's what he says. So at the arrow once released, it follows its trajectory across the sky before eventually descending back to the ground. The poet acknowledges that they could not predict where exactly the arrow would land. So this introduces an element of uncertainty, a sense of unpredictability which highlights the transient nature of the arrow's flight across the sky. In the third line of the first stanza, the poet says he states the reason why he could not know where the arrow fell. He says that for so swiftly it flew, the sight could not follow it in its flight. So the arrow, it flew so swiftly. The word swiftly, it conveys a sense of quickness and agility, which underscores the dynamic nature of the arrow's flight. So the speed at which the arrow flies is emphasized here. And the velocity of the arrow is such that the speaker is unable to track its trajectory visually. He could not follow it. And this fourth line of the stanza, it further emphasizes that the speed and distance of the arrow's flight, as well as the limitations of the human perception. The speaker could not see where it was, so it is a limitation of the poet himself in capturing the movement of the arrow. Now, if we try to think about this stanza as a metaphor for The word arrow, it could stand as a symbol for the harsh words, often unpleasant words that when we are angry, when in heated moments, we can tell our friends, our closed ones. And once these harsh words are said, their trajectory cannot be mapped. The speaker will not be able to understand the effect of these words, that it would how it would affect the other person to whom these words are spoken to. So here the poet is using a metaphor of a sense. The arrow is a metaphor for the harsh words, of the unsavory, unwanted words, unpleasant words which we often tell in anger, in sadness to people. And he's cautioning us. The poet is in a way cautioning us that we do not know how these harsh words, how it would land, how it would affect the person who these words are spoken to, as a caution. So, yeah, so the poet is focusing not on the words. He's not talking about the words, but on the emotions, the feelings associated with these words. The emotion of sadness, the hatred, sometimes of envy. Sometimes we are envious of something and then we say something harsh. So he's asking us, advising us in a way to be careful. In the second stanza, the poet is introducing the second central element of this poem, that is the song. He's saying, I breathed a song into the air. So, from the physical act of shooting an arrow, he is now moving to a more metaphorical action of breathing a song into the air. So, this line introduces a contrast between the tangible external action of shooting the arrow in the first stanza and the intangible internal act of singing. Okay, so in this second stanza, he is further saying, it fell to earth, I knew not where. Again, similar to the arrow, he does not know where this song landed. So this repetition, it reinforces the uncertainty which is surrounding the fate of the song once it is released into the air. There is an uncertainty, just like the arrow. Again, the song faces an uncertainty once it has been uttered, once the arrow has been shot. Where it would land, nobody knows. Nobody can follow or guide the trajectory. So the speaker cannot control or predict where the song will land or how it will be received. And he is reiterating it in the following lines where he is saying, who has sight so keen and strong that it can follow the flight of song? So the speaker is reflecting on the limitations of human perception again, where he's questioning whether anyone possesses the ability to fully comprehend or perceive the entirety of the arrow's flight or the song's impact, how it will impact somebody who hears the song. So this lines, it further highlights the theme of human fallibility and inherent mysteries of existence. It introduces the idea that the trajectory of the song, like that of the arrow, is beyond the scope of human vision or understanding. Yeah. So the metaphorical flight of the song, as is written, who can follow the flight of song? It suggests that the ethereal, intangible nature of music and art, it's ethereal, it's intangible, we cannot see. The arrow was tangible, we could see it. But song, it can fly through the air. You don't know who will hear the words. Just like I explained, no? If the harsh words are said like that, even any pleasant words that you say or anything, even that you don't know how it can affect somebody, right? So it cannot be observed. So the song here in this second stanza, it symbolizes the loving words which we are often saying to friends, our parents, our near and dear ones. And it falls to the ground, but the poet is unable to find out how it is received. So it is similar to those harsh words, the metaphorical connection, as you can see. between the first stanza and the second stanza itself. Then we see in the third stanza that long, long afterward in an oak, the poet says, he found the arrow still unbroke. So now the poem is shifting to the future. Till now we were talking about the past where the poet sang a song, he shot an arrow, but now he's talking in the third stanza, he's shifting to the future where he's describing a new setting, an oak tree. An oak tree where he's saying that despite the passage of time, the arrow remains intact and undamaged, suggesting its resilience and enduring presence. How can we understand this? It said that I found the arrow still unbroken, it was undamaged. Yes. So this line, it introduces the idea of the arrow as a symbol of persistence and permanence. And finally, the poet is talking what happened to the song, what happened to the song which was sung in the past. So the poet is saying, and the song from beginning to end, in contrast to the physical arrow, the song persists as an intangible entity existing from inception to the conclusion. Where is it existing? It is existing in the heart of a friend. So this line highlights the enduring power of music and art to transcend time and space. So the poem, it concludes with a revelation that the song, once released into the air, finds its ultimate destination in the heart of a friend. It encapsulates the transformative power of art, of music, to forge connections and touch the life of others, transcending the limitations of physical boundaries. Okay? So, in the climax of the poem, the poet finds both the mark of the arrow and the song to be an old tree. So, in the arrow and the arrow he is finding in the old oak tree, unbroken, resiliently. And the song or the loving words, they are found in the heart of a friend. And this song is eternal. And he cautions us that these eternal loving words can also have a effect such as the harsh words. They also can leave lasting impact. They also can be timeless. So we have to be very careful of how we use our words and how they have an effect upon the people to which these words are spoken to. Okay, so overall, the poem I Shot an Arrow in the Air, or as it is also called as the poem of Arrow and the Song. So it explores the themes of action, of perception, of uncertainty, and the enduring power of art to connect individuals across time and space. Through its vivid imagery and thought-provoking metaphorical language, the poem invites us to contemplate the mysteries of existence and the profound impact of human creativity and connection. Now talk about the themes in the poem. As you can see, these are the identified themes. There are 5 themes. The first one is action and consequence. At its core, this poem, it grapples with the theme of action and consequence. The act of shooting an arrow into the air, it symbolizes the human agency and the choices we make in life. The poet's decision to shoot the arrow sets in motion a chain of events with unpredictable outcomes. The poem highlights the inherent uncertainty and unpredictability of life as embodied by the trajectory of the arrow and the uncertainty of where it will land. This theme invites reflection on the nature of decision making and the interconnectedness of actions and their consequences. In the second theme, we see human perception and limitations. It is another prominent theme in this poem, and the speaker acknowledges his inability to fully comprehend or track the flight of the arrow once it is released. This theme it speaks to the fallibility of human perception and the inherent mysteries of existence. Despite our best efforts, there are aspects of life that remain beyond our grasp, symbolized by the swift and elusive flight of the arrow. This theme encourages humility and an appreciation for the vastness and complexity of the world around us. So the world around us, it gives us the theme, makes us understand that human perceptions and there are limitations to this perception that we have. The third theme is sorry is transience and impermanence. So the poem explains and explores the theme, and here the fleeing nature of the arrow's flight it serves as a metaphor for the transient quality of life itself. Like the arrow, we are all subject to the passage of time and the inevitability of change. The poem emphasizes the ephemeral nature of existence and the importance of cherishing each moment, knowing that nothing lasts forever. This theme prompts reflection on the brevity of life and the need to embrace the present moment. The fourth theme is artistic expression and creativity. A significant aspect of this poem is its exploration of artistic expression and creativity. Here, the poet contrasts this physical act of shooting the arrow with the metaphorical act of breathing a song into the air. So, this juxtaposition highlights the power of art, of song, to transcend physical limitations and communicate on a deeper, more emotional level. So the poem it suggests that while physical objects may be subject to decay and destruction, like the arrow, the song has a capacity to endure and leave a lasting impact. So this theme it celebrates the transformative power of creativity and the ability of song, of music, of art to connect individuals across time and space. The final theme of the poem is connection and friendship. The poem explores and reveals that the song, once released into the air, finds its ultimate destination in the heart of a friend. It underscores the profound impact of human relationships. Despite the fleeting nature of life, the bonds we form with other people have the power to transcend time and space. This theme celebrates the importance of human connections and highlights the transformative power of love and friendship. So, in summary, I Shot an Arrow into the Air. This poem is a rich and multifaceted poem that explores a range of emotions and themes. Through its vivid imagery and thought provoking metaphorical language, the poem invites us to contemplate the mysteries of existence. Next, we'll discuss the figures of speech in this poem. I have made the slides here and you can note these down. For instance, the first line of the first stanza, I shot an arrow in the air, is a metaphor. And overall, it gives an idea of the arrow being used metaphorically to represent an action or decision made by the speaker. It symbolizes agency, intention, and the pursuit of a goal. The second figure of speech is, it fell to earth, I knew not where, which is the second line of the first stanza. And this is here the poet uses personification, where the arrow is personified as having the ability to fall to earth as though it possesses a sense of agency or consciousness. It is also a case of irony because the uncertainty of where the arrow will land creates an act of irony. The act of shooting the arrow, it is typically done with a specific target in mind, but the lack of control over its destination underscores the unpredictability of life's outcome. So that is the kind of irony that the poet has used here. The third figure of speech which we come across in this poem is in the third line itself. For so swiftly it flew the sight. So yet here it is firstly a case of alliteration where the S sound is repeated in this segment. For example, so swiftly. Yeah. So it creates a sense of speed and fluidity. It is also a case for personification where the sight, that is the vision, is personified as attempting to track the arrow's flight. It suggests the limitations of human perceptions. Could not follow it in its flight. This is a case of hyperbole where the inability of the sight of the vision to follow the arrow's flight is exaggerated for effect. And here there is an emphasis on the swiftness and distance of the movement of the arrow. Like the first stanza, the second stanza of the poem is also filled with figures of speech. So we begin with I breathed a song into the air, which is a case for metaphor, and the act of breathing a song into the air, it represents the creation or expression of art, specifically music in this poem. It suggests that the intangible nature of creativity and its ability to transcend physical boundaries. It fell to earth I knew not where. This is a case for repetition, where the line repeats the structure and content of the second line of the first stanza, if you remember. So, this is a case of repetition and reinforces the uncertainty which surrounds the song's destination and impact. For who has sight so keen and strong? This is a rhetorical question that the speaker has used about the capacity of human sight, implying that no one possesses the ability to fully perceive or comprehend the arrow's flight or the song's impact, that it can follow the flight of song. So this is again a case of hyperbole where the exaggerated notion of sight, of vision, being able to follow the flight of the song is emphasized by the intangible and elusive nature of music and artistic expression. The third stanza is again rife with figures of speech and poetic devices. Firstly, we come across the case of repetition and imagery in the line long, long afterward in an oak. So the word, it represents the structure of previous lines that begin with the word for, creating a sense of rhythm and continuity. So long, long. So that is the word is repeated. Long. There is a stress there. So again, it is a case for imagery because the mention of an oak tree, it creates or conjures an image of nature. Yeah, an oak lives for a long time, so as an image of longevity. Yeah, longevity, which sets the scene for the poem's conclusion. The next line is I found the arrow still unbroken. So this is a case for symbolism. The arrow, it symbolizes resilience and endurance as it remains intact despite the time which has gone through and challenges that it has faced. It is also a case for alliteration where the repetition of the B sound is found. The arrow still unbroke. So it creates a sense of stability and strength. Next, the line and the song from beginning to end. It is a case for metaphor. The song is metaphorically to represent the enduring nature of art and creativity. It suggests that while physical objects may decay or disappear, the impact of art, it persists over time. It is also a case for symbolism where the song, it symbolizes the intangible and immaterial aspects of human experience such as emotion, memory, connection. The last line of the poem is, I found again in the heart of a friend. So this is again a case of symbolism. The heart of a friend, it symbolizes the emotional, interpersonal connection that transcends physical boundaries. It represents the ultimate destination and impact of the song, highlighting the power of human relationships. Finally, we discussed the rhyme scheme of this beautiful poem, and the arrow in the song is a three-stanza poem that is divided into sets of 4 lines known as quatrains. And as I have already stated before, these quatrains or these stanzas, they are divided into 2 couplets, which are sets of 2 lines that create a very steady rhythmic piece of poetic device. And the quatrains, they follow a very simple rhyme scheme of A, B, B, C, C, D, D, E, E, F, F. So these couplets, they are rhyming amongst themselves. Thank you for listening. Have a great day ahead. If you like the content of the video, please subscribe to the channel.